What is up, guys? Private Eye Russ here. Welcome to another episode of the Private Eye Russ Show. I am your host, Private Eye Russ, owner, operator, full-service private investigation and consulting firm. All right, so links will be in the description below. Corporate theft investigations, litigation support, criminal defense, company website, contact page, info@privateeruss.com. Follow me on X @privateeruss and join the Discord server. I update when I'm working out. I don't tell you guys when I'm working out. I might as well do it when I do or when I begin. I'm usually up working out at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And I'm going to update you guys on my dietary stuff, maybe in the morning, not necessarily throughout the day. I am working on improving my fitness. I'm not out of shape, but I want to get in better shape. And so if you would take this as encouragement to update as well, too. It's proven that if you have some sort of accountability, meaning you have to report something that you're doing, you tend to have you have a tendency to do it more and do it more consistently. And at the end of the day, with the coming zombie apocalypse, we all are going to need to be in shape for ourselves and our loved ones. All right. So anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this particular video. This is a follow-up to my video titled "Executive Protection Specialist Debunks Some of the Charlie Kirk Assassination Theories." Right. So. All right, number one, that was not an investigation. Nobody has enough information to conduct a proper investigation. I am a licensed investigator, so I have conducted investigations. I gave my opinion about some of the things we saw based on my experience, decades of experience as an executive protection specialist. Okay, I've worked every part of an executive protection detail from halls and walls, meaning a guy literally standing in a hotel or office hallway, to running the detail, to running the command post, to doing the protective advances, everything in between, to working from here domestically and working on private security details and non-permissive environments around the world, mostly North Africa and the Middle East, as well as South America. And so, and Pakistan too, sorry. And so I have a good knowledge base from which to draw about protective specialists, about the work they do, and about the mindset of a protection specialist person, but also, too, procedurally, what did and did not go wrong. And something did go wrong on that particular detail with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Obviously, it resulted in the assassination of Mr. Charlie Kirk. Okay, so I do not. I don't really think that the theories about these guys being complicit, I think that's unfair. Just because puts you in the mindset of a person who's willing to put themselves in harm's way to protect another person. Now, most executive protection details stateside don't end in any sort of danger. Maybe potential for embarrassment, but not necessarily danger, because most people aren't under specific threats. Now, we've seen some things where some people were under specific threats and they decided they did not want their security detailed with them. We saw that with the unfortunate demise of the United Health Group CEO, Mr. Thompson, and so that was a completely different matter altogether. Had he had a protection team with him, would that have happened? We may never know. I would think probably not. Because I know some of the guys that have protected some of those guys that work for that corporation, and they are very sharp individuals, like extremely sharp, and they're very, very good at what they do. So with this particular case, this was not and so a lot of these details domestically, you have details where there is no specific threat, but because of the nature of what they do and what they're going about, they want someone there to protect them just in case. So they have more of a general threat. Charlie Kirk had specific threats, people threatening his life directly, saying, "We're going to do this to you. We're going to do that to you." Now, he was aware of those threats. His head of security was aware of those threats, which he stated in the Sean Ryan interview. All right. And so Sean Ryan, he's very, very, he's not a softball interviewer, but he's not one of those guys that's going to be in your face, doing that number to you. And he even said that. He said, "That's not what I do." However, I had to point something out that to me, as a person who's run details and trained and taught executive protection and protective advances to a lot of individuals, this does not work. Okay. The text message he showed, or text chain he showed from the chief of police, hey, chief, this is what we have. We saw this rooftop. Can we secure that? Can, the gist of it, I'm paraphrasing, can we either have that restricted access? I understand that the students have access to that portion of the building and can get on the roof. Can we restrict that access, or can we have one of our guys up there? The chief of police replies, we've got you covered, or we've got it covered. Okay, so here was my part of the argument. What does that mean? All right, it doesn't mean jack shit. All right, as a person who's running a detail, it's my job to be an anally retentive prick to make sure every T is crossed and I is dotted, and I'm going to confirm, and I'm going to confirm again and confirm yet again. And so when I saw that, and he said, okay, what more was I to do? I'm sorry, you have to follow up on that. You have to. Okay, when you're dealing with an individual who's paying you for protection and trusting you for protection and trusting your team for protection, you're the guy who's running the team. So ultimately, that falls on you. It doesn't fall on the other guys. Their careers are going to be hurt because someone dropped the ball. Who dropped the ball? And again, I'm not saying he's at fault for the actual shooting. He's not. It's whoever is guilty of that. This young man who did this. He'll have his day in court. Doesn't look good for him, and he may receive the death penalty. I got no problem with that either way. And so I think the legal system has to play its part. I'm very, very cautious about blaming people or saying things just because there's so many lawsuits that go out. So I'm going to say the alleged shooter. I know people don't like that, but until it's proven, he's alleged. There's still a lot of holes in the information matrix that we need to make a decision. Okay, we don't have all the information yet, guys. We have a couple of cell phone video angles. We don't have, there's a ton that the FBI is not releasing, and fair enough to them, they're not supposed to release it. They have to conduct an investigation. They have to try to get a conviction and maybe even the death penalty. And this is part of the process. Part of the process is keeping that information to yourself. That's just how it goes, guys. I know everybody wants to know everything because we live in this age where everybody thinks they're entitled to know everything. You're not entitled to know that until it comes out. Neither am I. Do I want to know just as much as you do? Yeah, of course. There's a lot of holes in that story, and I know people have a problem with some of the things I said about the ballistics, but the main thing I want to address first and foremost is the fact that the head of security, the head of that company, should have followed up. Okay, chief, this is me. Okay, chief, what does that mean? Now, why am I so hard on that? Okay, you have an overlooking firing position, looking down on the venue where your client and your guys are going to be. You have to secure that. You know what I'm saying? You have to make sure that's secure. You can't leave that to chance, and he left it to chance. Oh, we got you covered. We got it covered. That doesn't mean anything. Sorry. I want to know exactly how it's going to be covered. I want to know exactly what's going on, and that's your job. That's his job. Some people didn't like that. They said I was being closed-minded. A couple of people in the comment section. And look, I get it. If you've never been on an executive protection detail and you've never had someone's safety in your hands, you don't understand the awesome responsibility that comes along with that. Your job as a protection specialist is to cross every T and dot every I. Now, are there exceptions? Yes, there are. There are some clients that have a really weird helter-skelter schedule, and they don't schedule anything until that particular moment. There's nothing you can do about that. Different story. This was something that was a planned event, all right? And he reached out to the chief of police, and he did not follow up. That's the big issue I have. Had he followed up, Mr. Kirk might still be alive today. Okay, does that mean someone else doesn't try to go after him? Apparently, there were a lot of people that were after the man, and they got a lot of death threats. And this is why you've got to be on top of stuff, man. Sorry, I know some people have a problem with that, but guess what? That's the hill I'm willing to die on, because at the end of the day, I've done it. I've been there. I've done that. I've had sleepless nights, literally the day before, the weeks before an executive protection detail. And the closer you get, the less sleep you're going to get. Then you got to be on a detail with little sleep, and you're living off coffee and Vivarin and other caffeine pills. But that's the price you pay, and this is what we signed up for. And so my main thing is that he signed up for this responsibility. No one made him take this responsibility. But if you take that responsibility, you have to do everything in your power to ensure your client's safety. Okay? Losing a client. One guy said, well, just because you never lost a client doesn't mean you didn't make mistakes. I'm human. Anybody can make mistakes, but guess what? I didn't lose any clients. Now you can lose clients to, say, someone gives them a better business proposal and gives them a better deal, lowering price. People do that all the time. I was on one detail where I was one of the operators. I wasn't running the detail, but I wasn't at the very entry level yet. I kind of got to like the mid level, and so I was in a formation walking with the client. Well, we got pulled off the detail. Well, this detail went to somebody else because they lowered the price. Okay, bam, we're gone. And so the guy who owns the company, he went to battle, and we got it back. Oh, we're back on the detail. And literally, it was like a seesaw, yo-yo. It was insane. Ultimately, that's a client I would get rid of. But this guy kept that client, and we were there. I was a foot soldier. I did my job. But you can lose a client. Have we lost clients to natural causes? They passed away. Yes, we have. I've never lost a client to being an assassination. Okay, and have I had clients that were under direct threat? Yeah, we've had clients that we were under direct threat, and things got really hairy, and things could have gone much worse than they did. But at the end of the day, I'm still here. The clients were alive when I left them, and so I did my job. United States of America. There haven't been a lot of political assassinations. There have been a few, but not a lot. But lately, I can think of one famous incident about a year ago that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, where another then candidate, Donald J. Trump, was almost, if not for the turn of his head, was almost assassinated by a dude literally 150 yards away. And so rooftops should be a concern. They should be. But, at the end of the day, if he had one guy up there on a rooftop or restricted access, and literally that's just another phone call or more text messages or emails, and to get that done is not that difficult. But he did not. So next, about the ballistic side of things, yes, I understand. Full power 30-06 is going to literally decapitate. And they're saying it was 30-06 or 7 millimeter. Look, at the end of the day, I don't know that we have the complete story on that. Now, as far as this kid traveling, there's a lot of holes, from the rooftop and jumping off the roof, and then the rifle and the condition it was found, it was broken down and taken apart. Man, oh man, there are a lot of holes in that story. Now, again, throwing out conjecture based on video evidence that may or may not be complete is not an investigation. So I'm giving my opinion, okay? Investigations are a completely different animal. Yes, I'm a professional investigator, but that's what I'm telling you guys. This is opinion-based just because we don't have all the information, and we may never get all the information. And that is a bitter pill to swallow. I want to know as much as you guys do. I think everybody wants to know everything that happened in detail. But man, oh man, it may not happen. And as far as I had a couple people send me some messages about it on X about the Israel connection. I don't think there is an Israel connection, and here's why. Are they above taking people out that they consider enemies? No, they are not. It's famous. They have been, they are well known and well documented that if they want you gone, they're coming after you. Now, they can get you out of there in a very fantastical and very graphic way, and they'll get somebody to videotape the whole thing from close by, and they'll put it on the news. Hey, this dude that did this, he got eliminated today. Here's the video of his demise. They'll do things like that. Can they make you go away and make it look like natural causes? Yes, they can. Can they make it look like an accident? Yes, they can. But for them to do that to an American citizen, a prominent American citizen that was a close personal friend of the President of the United States of America, sorry, man. It wouldn't be in their favor to do that in so many different ways, guys. We need to, try to set emotion and some of the cult of personality stuff that's out there that's pushing some of these narratives. We need to set that aside and say, okay, does this make sense? Okay, and that does not make sense. So do I think the president of the United States of America had anything to do with it? Absolutely not. Do I think the man's wife had anything to do with it? And there's a lot of speculation because, okay, she's not acting this way, she's not acting that way, she's hugging this person, she might just be one of those awkward huggers. I've got friends where their wives hug you in ways that you're like, hey, that's a little bit, whatever, but that's just how they are. And again, without knowing much about Miss Kirk, I can't say one way or the other. People talk about, well, she's the only one who benefited. She's not the only one who benefited. There are some people on social media who have benefited a lot from making really, really wild claims and videos constantly about the same subject since the man has passed away. They're benefiting from this. Nobody's accusing them of being complicit. You see what I'm saying? So even though it's difficult to do, my point is, even though it's really difficult to do, especially in this day and age when everybody wants everything just like that, we have to hold our water and we have to wait until we have more information. Nothing happens based on our schedule and what we want. This is not something we can control. If I had more information, would I really dig into it more? Yes, I would. I've held off, even commenting about it just because there's so much stuff buzzing through the airways about this, man. It's ridiculous. But and then I talked about the hand signals and that sort of thing. And so I think as tough as it might be, we got to wait and see. But as far as the owner of the security company dropping the ball, he dropped the ball, guys. Sorry. He did. He dropped the ball, and if he hadn't dropped the ball, perhaps Mr. Kirk would still be alive. And so I don't think he really thought that through before he put that out there. He probably should have consulted someone. If he had consulted me, I would have been like, maybe you should be silent. Just because this is not one of those things that would make me say, oh, you know what, he's free and clear. No, do I think he or his security guys are complicit? No, I don't. But do I think it will cost them work in the future? Of course it's going to cost them work in the future. They lost a client, especially the company owner. And so, this is the reality of protection work. You can get it wrong. You can get it right 1,000 times. All you got to do is get it wrong once, and it can be disastrous. Anyway, if you've gotten any value out of this, please like, subscribe, share. Get in the comment section, comment. If you guys want me to try to follow up on something else, let me know. I put things out there not to make people look bad, not to insult people, but in this particular instance, we've got to hold this guy's feet to the fire. From one professional to the other, he should have done better when it came to that particular detail, and that one detail, one singular detail, cost a man his life. Okay? That's how serious that game is. It's a serious game, and I've played that game for a long time, for a lot of different clients, and people have trusted me with their families, their own lives, their property, their fortunes, and I've never let anybody down because, you'll have to scrape me up off the ground with a spatula before I bail out on a client or fail a client. I never have, and I'm not going to. And so do I think that was wrong? Yeah, he should have done better. So just wanted to clarify some of those things. Don't be shy about making comments, but, what I'm not going to do in the comment section is argue back and forth. I'll give people an explanation, but these are my opinions. And, obviously, if you don't like my opinions, that's unfortunate. But I'm not going to change or tailor my opinion based on what's popular and what's not popular. I'm going to give you guys the truth. Anyways, your boy, Private Eye Russ. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.